Hey, welcome to the Biochemistry Academy. We are going to continue our serial course on amino acids. We will talk about the type of amino acids and the classification of amino acids. There are two types of amino acids, which are the L amino acids and the D amino acids. Now, in the L amino acids, the amino group is present on the left side, while in the D amino acid, the amino group is present at the right hand side. Now, the most natural occurring amino acid is the L amino acid in all biological proteins, and that is the reason why proteins are the polymers of L amino acids. There are also two free D amino acids, which are D-serine and D-aspartate in the human body that originates from the brain tissue. Now let's understand the numbering of amino acids. Now there are 20 standard amino acids that are used in protein synthesis to make protein, but we are going to use the amino acid methionine to understand the numbering of amino acids. Now, the numbering starts from the carbon of the carboxylic group, starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and at the alpha carbon, it is called alpha, then next is called the delta, then gamma, then beta. Classification of amino acids. Amino acids are classified in 4 groups. Now, the first classification is based on its structure and chemical nature. Now, the next classification is based on polarity or solubility. And the next classification, which is the third one, it is based on its metabolic fate. And the fourth classification is based on its nutritional requirement. Now, in the first classification, which is the classification based on structure and chemical nature, it is also divided into subgroups, which are 1. Amino acid with an aliphatic side chain. 2. Amino acid with an hydroxy group. Then 3. Sulfur containing amino acid. Then 4. Acidic amino acid and their amide. Then 5. Basic amino acids. Then 6. Aromatic amino acids. Then 7. Amino amino acids. Now, based on polarity, they involve hydrophilic amino acid and hydrophobic amino acid. In the hydrophilic amino acids, they are soluble in water, while in the hydrophobic amino acids, they are non-polar and they are insoluble. Now, in the classification based on metabolic fate, they include glucogenic amino acid, ketogenic amino acid, or both. Now, based on nutritional classification, they include essential amino acids, non-essential amino acids, or semi-essential amino acids. Now, we are going to look at the first classification, which is based on its structure and chemical nature. Now, the first one includes amino acid with an aliphatic side chain. In this group of amino acid, there are 5 amino acids in this group, now which are glycine, alanine, valine, leucine, and isoleucine. I have seen students create a mnemonic like GAVLI, and each of the amino acid has its abbreviation. We can see it in our structure here. Now, the structure of glycine looks like this because it is not connected to 4 groups. Now, the next structure of the amino acid is alanine, which has a methyl group in the side chain. Then valine looks like this. then leucine, and finally isoleucine. Glycine is the simplest amino acid, which is optically inactive because it has no chiral center, while valine, leucine, and isoleucine are branch-chained amino acid. Then let's move to the second classification of the amino acid with hydroxy group. An example of such amino acid is serine. In the structure of serine, hydroxy group is attached. Another example is threonine and thyroxine. Now, in the third classification of amino acid, which is amino acid with a sulfur group attached to it, an example includes cysteine, having a sulfhydryl group. Another example is methionine. Now, the fourth classification of amino acids are amino acids having an acidic group, or they are amides, and they are commonly known as acidic amino acids. Now, example include aspartic acid, asparagine, glutamic acid, and glutamine. Now, the structure of such amino acids looks like this. The fifth classification is the amino acid with a basic group, which are also known as basic amino acids. They have two amino group and one carboxyl group and are called dibasic monocarboxylic acids. An example include arginine, lysine, and histidine. Now, the sixth classification is the aromatic amino acids, and they have an aromatic ring in their structure. They absorb ultraviolet light. Now, example includes phenylalanine having a benzene ring, thyroxine having a phenol ring. Remember, it is also classified as an amino acid having an hydroxy group. And finally, another example is tryptophan. It has an indole ring in its structure. Now, the seventh classification is amino acid. It has only one amino acid, which is proline, because it does not contain an amino group. Rather, it contains an amino group. Next, we'll talk about the classification based on polarity, which is solubility. Now, they can be polar or non-polar. Polar are hydrophilic, and hydrophilic means water-loving, while non-polar are hydrophobic, and hydrophobic means water-fearing, meaning that it doesn't like water. Now, example of a hydrophilic amino acid can either be negatively charged, positively charged, or uncharged. In the negatively charged amino acid, they include aspartic and glutamic acid, which are polar in nature. In the positively charged amino acids, they include lysine, arginine, and histidine. And in the uncharged hydrophilic amino acid, they include serine, threonine, tyrosine, asparagine, glutamine, cysteine, and glycine. In the hydrophobic amino acid, which can be aliphatic or aromatic in nature. In the aliphatic hydrophobic amino acid, they include alanine, valine, leucine, and isoleucine. While in the aromatic hydrophobic amino acid, they include phenylalanine and tryptophan. Now, all these amino acids that I mentioned here are hydrophobic, which are they are non-polar in nature. Now, let us talk about the next classification, which is classification based on metabolic fate. It means that there are some amino acids that are involved in the synthesis of glucose and lipids. Based on this metabolic fate, they are further classified as glucogenic, ketogenic, or both, meaning that some can be used in the synthesis of glucose and lipids. Now, amino acids which are ketogenic include leucine, and lysine that are involved in the synthesis of lipids, meaning that their carbon skeleton is involved to synthesize lipids. Now, amino acids which are glucogenic include alanine, aspartate, methionine, and glycine. Now, amino acids that are both glucogenic and ketogenic include isoleucine, tryptophan, phenylalanine, and tyrosine. Now, we'll talk about the next classification, which is classification based on nutritional requirements, which can be essential, non-essential, or semi-essential. In the essential amino acid, for us to say that an amino acid is essential, meaning that they are required by the body, but they cannot be synthesized in the body, and therefore they are supplied in our diet. Now, there are 9 essential amino acids, which is the standard essential amino acids. They include valine, tryptophan, phenylalanine, leucine, lysine, methionine, histidine, isoleucine, and threonine. Now, you can be creative to make a mnemonic that will be more easy for you to remember these essential amino acids. In the semi-essential amino acids, there are 2 amino acids which are histidine and arginine. They are growth promoting amino acids. They are essential in growing children, in pregnant women, and also in lactating women. They are slow to be formed in the human body. Now, let's talk about the non-essential amino acids which are synthesized by the body, and they include glycine, alanine, serine, cysteine, aspartate, asparagine, glutamate, glutamine, thyroxine, and proline. In recent discovery, there is the 21st and 22nd amino acid that are discovered. Now, in the 21st amino acid is called silanocysteine. Now, the structure of silanocysteine and cysteine are quite similar. The only difference is that in cysteine, sulfur is present, while in silanocysteine, selano is present. Now, silanocysteine is encoded by the codon UGA. Now, in the 22nd amino acid, which is called pyrrolysine, is encoded by the codon UAG. Don't worry, in our next video you understand what this codon means in protein synthesis. Now, the pyrrolysine is similar to lysine, but with an added pyrroline ring that is linked to the end of the lysine side chain. Let us talk about the significance of amino acids. Amino acids are involved in the synthesis of various biological compounds. Like, for example, the amino acid glutamic acid is involved in the synthesis of GABA, which is a neurotransmitter, and tyrosine, an amino acid, is involved in the synthesis of thyroxine and melanin. Then the amino acid tryptophan is used in the synthesis of niacin and serotonin. Then glycine, arginine, and methionine are used in the synthesis of creatine. Then glycine and cysteine are used in the synthesis of bile salts. Then the amino acid glutamic and aspartic acid are used in the synthesis of pyrimidine bases, while glycine, glutamic, and aspartic acid are used in the synthesis of purine bases. And finally, beta-alanine is used in the synthesis of coenzyme A. Let us briefly mention the various amino acid disorders. They include phenylketonuria, alkaptonuria, albinism, thyroxinemia, Hartnup disease, homocystinuria, carcinoid syndrome. Don't worry, we'll talk about it more when we start the playlist on metabolism of amino acid. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Biochemistry Academy for more content like this. Thank you. Arigato.